Welcome. Quite up to date actually this time, Matt, I think,
Mm.
given that we're usually running a few days behind or a week.
Yep.
So we've decided to do the Spa 4 hours commentary. Don't worry, you're not going to have to sit through 4 hours worth of me and Matt uh, trying to come up with cool and enthusiastic lines.
Nobody
Uh,
wants that.
no, ain't nobody got time for 4 hours worth of that. If you want something like that, watch the stewarding sessions. They're always
It'd be
entertaining.
longer than the race, wouldn't it?
I think it was actually half of the
It
race. I
was.
think we finished at 2 hours and 13 minutes. I think that was more down to technical issues. I think that was 35 minutes worth of trying to find the movers and stuff. So other than that, yeah, it was all right. Um, so yeah, we've got is it about 15 minutes worth of footage today? Something like
It's
that. Really good race for those of you that are watching that were involved. We thank you for that. For those that are watching that weren't part of it, if you're looking for this type of race in the future, the Discord is flashing up at the bottom of the screen. Make sure you join that. And the Series 3 is due to start over the next couple of weeks. We're just trying to finalize them. There will be a stream probably going up later on tonight, which will show you what tracks are going to be in Series 3. I'm dreading it because I know Bathurst is probably going to make an appearance, even though it is random. We've not had Bathurst yet.
doing the same for Watkins Glen, Cota.
Seca as well. We haven't had Seca, have we?
No.
So we've got some interestingly tight tracks. We're also going to look at doing at least another 4 hour or even a 6 hour event again, probably maybe September, October time, I think. We'll do it every month or so. Give ourselves at least 4 or 5 weeks grace to build up the audience. So we started yesterday, 22 on the grid. Um, that
That's cars,
was
not drivers.
yeah. So 22 teams. I think 3 teams only had solo drivers. Maybe 4 teams at a
4 or 5,
push.
I think it was.
Yeah, 4 or 5. And that was with actually a couple of teams being unable to make it at the last minute. Arik was unable to make it due to his
Parcel force.
parcel force not delivering his semi cube and leaving it with his neighbour. And then a couple of us, Todd and whatnot, were at Goodwood. So yeah, I think we had a really good set of drivers. Qualifying was certainly intense.
Oh yes,
But
22,000th.
yeah, and yeah, the final results. What was it, Matt? You finished off at 5 tenths,
5.9 seconds off first.
seconds or tenths.
Seconds.
All right, there you go then. But yeah, well, I'll get us ready and switch us over from the chat to the in-game, and then I shall count Matt down so we can sort of get it ready so he's seeing sort of what I'm seeing. So we'll go 3, 2, and 1. So we start on board with me. If you're new to ACC and you're wondering what the red and the whites are on the left, we actually ran a multi-split race this time. So Lanzoni, I think, was sandbagging us. I think he should have really been in the pro class.
Yeah.
There's a tiny bit of drama there on the first lap, coming up a
Yep.
Rouge, quite
We've already
tight, really.
passed following the sat nav.
I think we lost 666, the red Beamer, and the Porsche, as you can see, is sporting a bit of damage.
To
So
be fair, lap 1 wasn't too bad. It was lap 2 where everyone suddenly just.
everybody's trying to
Yeah.
make places up and whatnot, aren't they, on lap 2?
Yeah.
So my co-driver, P-Dubs, is actually Lamborghini driver in ACC, so he had to get used to the front engine, rear wheel drive grunt of the AMG. So we've moved up to 8th on the HUD. So this is on board with Batek who's since been banned. So if you're watching and you run any groups, Batek is horrific.
Yes.
Not only on but off the track as well. He's
Yes.
been banned for racial slurs. So I'm not going to say any more about him.
It's a shame because he has the ability to be a good driver, but he just has the other side of him where he, yeah. Anyway, onto the battle for the lead, and these two, you couldn't get them apart.
So the 720 actually was well placed for Spa at the minute. Though I think it definitely needs a couple of BOP changes. That was a manoeuvre and a half, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Wow.
good track. These two are at it for quite a lot of the first stint now. I think we see a replay later on where they get a bit too close. But here's you and the
Train.
Fanatics brothers. You navigated one of them nicely there.
Yeah, we'd was playing a bit of a long game with these two. Unfortunately, we were losing 3 seconds a lap down to where we should have been, so it was costing us a bit of time. However, I wasn't too fussed given that we were in splits, so really we were fighting for sort of third place, which is the beauty of splits, really. I mean, it is always nice to finish at the top of the overall grid, but when you're in splits, it doesn't mean a nice
Here's a
bit of
big deciding factor coming up here.
yeah,
And there we go.
bit of a lunge that for me. But
They were as bad as each other. Looking back at it all, they just kept banging doors, and then it comes to something like this, and that cost them a lot of time, and nearly took this Ferrari out.
so the Ferrari and Lanzoni, so Belandi and Lanzoni, they were new to the endurance race yesterday. So both two new teams. So we'd switched drivers at this point. That's
Yeah,
why we dropped to 11th. We'd gone in the pits and done our driver
just
swap.
crossed into the second hour, haven't we?
Yeah,
Yeah, because I'm in the car as well.
really bad aero wash though up here. Um,
Yeah, it's terrible. We were fighting understeer for the whole race, and as soon as we got behind someone up a Rouge, it was bonkers. Yeah, we have another solo against another solo who shouldn't have been a solo, but
yeah, so Hans originally had a teammate, but it was just one of them things with the server. Unfortunately, Byler dropped out, and with rejoins not being allowed just because we didn't want anybody joining midway through. Uh, Sometimes, depending on what cars people join with, it can cause a lag spike, and there's nothing worse than going up a rouge with a lag spike.
we know a way around that now.
So yeah, it was a bit of a learning curve yesterday.
Here's Michael making his way through after he had a horrible incident on lap 2 where a car came flying back off the track and took him clean out. But they were making good progress. I'll give them credit because they were slap bang last at one point, and then, as you can see, they're up to 13th there in the second hour. So they're making good progress.
Yeah, well, there's a few shop cars on there. So we'd been having a bit of a mare. I think we dropped to 15th. Yeah, we're at 15th at this point.
I mean, there's giving people space, and then there's giving people space.
I think Hans were actually believing that he was flying there. That's why he's gone for the RF colours, trying to get the McLaren to take off, I think.
Either that or he's back in the 1940s.
Yeah,
This looked like a good battle.
that was lucky that with the M6 taking that curb there. Surprisingly, it ended up in Shadow Realm.
See P-dubs in the background then as well, I think.
It's not that slow, the M6, surprisingly. I was expecting it to be a
No,
lot slower.
It's a good car. It's really quick in a straight, and it's got really good sound on the downshifts. But it's old. I think this was a battle for second.
38. Yes, it is. Second and third. This Ferrari sporting a few war wounds.
Yeah, the other driver that was in it, he was really good, really consistent. The second driver that was in the Ferrari seemed to be a step below. Not necessarily pro am, but he was a step below the number one driver. And me and him had a good little battle before the end of my stint.
So this is for 12th and 13th. This.
Yep.
So these two switched about a bit.
I was very impressed with some of the guys that joined on SimGrid. To be fair, there were a few good ones that joined. They got involved in a couple of incidents, but you know, no one's perfect. It's racing. It happens. But yeah, it was good. Good to see new names.
So we're on lap
Oh,
44 here.
yep, it's a good
Chico
move.
has just managed to move himself back into second.
I think he probably cost himself a bit of time by catching him up and trying to overtake him straight away rather than sizing up a move. You're in a 4 hour race, you may as well take the extra lap to size it up than cost yourself 3 laps by making a mistake and overdoing it. There we go. He was struggling like mad on his tyres and just took advantage.
Surprisingly, you were the only Lambo on grid. I was expecting a few more.
Hmm. I don't think the Lambo's that bad around here. It's had a little bit of a nerf recently, but it's still not that bad.
No, I did some testing it because I was going to say to P-Dubs we'd use it, but they were just odd bit where I was losing back end on it. So these are two more new drivers.
Yep. Kudos to the Porsche drivers.
Yeah,
Fancy doing that.
I think we found 50 minutes were our 50, 55 minutes, depending on how far we and fast we were pushing the car, was the limit of the tyres before we were having some real issues. So this is a pro and a pro-am class going up against each other.
It's a nice move. Not a corner you normally make an overtake into. Good move. But oh no, they were battling for position as well. And
Yeah.
then Mike pulls there again, trying to come back through. Oh, watching the background. 3, 2, 1. Exit hands.
Exit stage hands.
And
Permission to
then
land.
that was a cracking move, and then that was a little bit naughty.
Yeah.
The overtake was brilliant.
So the eagle-eyed upon you will see that we've lost a few cars by this point.
Yep.
So it's fourth or third. This
I
nice
think
move that,
the
to be
only
fair.
yeah, it was a good move. Gav was struggling that second stint. I think the front tyres were a bit too high on pressure, so he had a bit more understeer and he was having to force it.
I
The only
think
thing I was disappointed with in this race was there was no weather.
it did start dropping cold though.
Yeah, but that was because it went into the evening,
I think
so it was
by the end of it,
expected.
they were about 6 degrees down.
Yeah,
I think if would have been any more hours in, I think it would have certainly got interesting once it dropped dark and cold.
yeah, it got quick.
Yeah,
Cooler the temperatures, the quicker the cars go. We were set up for the cold as well. We had the brake ducts too,
yeah.
so
See, we risked it and went brake ducts free, which was fine. But towards the sort of last fourth hour, it was really dropping us down on sort of a rouge and whatnot.
yeah.
A little bit scrappy there between these three.
Yeah, getting a bit feisty. I think you see flashing lights on the beamer in a second. Wasn't happy with something. Yeah,
I mean,
there you
to
go.
be honest, I think, is it P Dubs driving at this point? Oh, is
There's
it
you.
me? No, no, it's me. So I'd actually made us back up to 2 laps because I think we were 4 laps down at one bit. So we weren't doing too bad. I managed to just keep consistency, and then all I could pray was those three drivers take each other out.
Yeah. Nice to see a couple of obsolete cars on the grid, the M6 and the V12 Vanquish. It was an advantage. It was really nice. It was.
How quick that is.
Yeah. That McLaren's bonkers at the moment. It is.
It just grips, doesn't it? It just
Mm.
seems to be able to, like. We had one chasing us down at one bit, and it was unbelievable the sheer grip that had going around the corners. My awesome didn't update all the car liveries.
I think there were a couple that weren't posted because I think these are running Amigo liveries and they're not on there. Because I had a
Right.
couple missing as well. I think I had exactly the same as you. There we go. Highlight showing a non-existent overtake. Oh, it's coming out the pits.
Well, I don't know. There we go.
There we go. I think the
Wow,
Porsche just come out the pits.
how much speed did that have then?
Yeah, Porsche's coming out the pits, isn't he? So he's slower. Because I'll be honest with you, this new Porsche ain't no slouch in a straight line.
No, it's
It's
really,
really quick.
really quick.
Teammates crashing into each other.
I was going to say that I don't think even track went that far, did it?
The old Drake trying to make his way back through. I think he makes this stick, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, really good move into double gaunch. Really good move.
It was literally a car width there, wasn't it?
Yep.
Car width and a
Oh,
car length.
yep.
That sun was killer by the end.
Oh, it was, and especially when you're halfway through your stint and your windshield's dirty, it's
Yeah,
just, oh, that last sector, horrendous.
that looked a bit twitchy. That was
Yep.
almost change of pants moment.
And there we go.
So the standings on screen are not the final finishing positions.
Nope.
The up to date ones are on SimGrid. There's been a few penalties and whatnot, but overall, really clean race. It's a shame we lost 7 teams
Yeah.
because I think it was a really tight race by that point. But hopefully, the next endurance one we run, we can get another 15 teams and
Oh
over
yes.
the 2 categories would make it really interesting.
Looking forward to it.
So yeah, stay tuned. Hopefully we'll do it straight after this one. We've got some other bits and pieces. So there's a new rule book that we're going to create for Series 3, so keep your eye out for that as well. And the what tracks we're going to do. Like I said, I know it's going to be Bathurst. I know it's going to be Secca because we've not had them yet. And I just know the look Like this series was all the tracks pretty much that I've got little or no experience on. So yeah, it was some learning curves.
Nice to see Watkins Glen or something.
Yeah, I think it should spice it up, especially Seca as well, because the corkscrew on Seca really does catch people out if you're just diving into it.
Hmm.
But yeah, as always, thank you to the patrons. I know we say it every time, but you're keeping the servers running, lights on, uh, and whatnot. So yes, thank you for watching, and stay tuned for the next video.
See you next time.
Ciao.